What's up, everybody? My name is Zach Schaumler. This is Strong Opinion Sports for Wednesday, October 25th. Last night was the World Series Game 1, and it was fantastic. Clayton Kershaw looked amazing. I have a great show planned today. I'm really excited to share with you guys what I have to say. It's going to be, so the way this show normally works is there's 3 segments. There's the first segment, a break, second segment, another break, and then the third segment. So in the first segment today, I'm going to do NFL Buy or Sell, my favorite segment of this entire show. And then right after that, Marc and Drake are going to join me for the final 2 segments 2 and 3 of the entire show. It's going to be fantastic. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, many debates later, but I want to start with this. Monday night, the Eagles played the Redskins. And this was a big game for both teams. The Eagles are currently, I think, the best, most dominant team in the NFC. And the Redskins were trying to stay alive. They are third right now in the NFC East. And with a win, the Redskins could have really secured their place in the playoff picture and in their division. But here's what happened. The Eagles won 34-24. The Eagles beat the Redskins. The Eagles are now 6-1. They have the best record in the NFC. And the Redskins fell to 3-3. I love Kirk Cousins. And this was a huge game for both teams. Both teams really needed to win, and I think it was even bigger for the Redskins than the Eagles because the Eagles are doing so well. They're sitting atop the NFC. This was a big game for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins needed to show up. I've been saying all year I love Kirk Cousins. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I think he deserves a big money contract. And this is Kirk Cousins' year to prove that he deserves a ton of money, to prove that he deserves a long-term contract worth a lot of money and that he's a viable franchise quarterback. And not only could he have proven this year that he's a franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins had the chance to prove, I am one of the elite quarterbacks. If he'd grabbed the bull by the horns and said, this is my time, I'm Kirk Cousins, and I'm one of the greats. The problem is, Kirk Cousins has not done that. Kirk Cousins has shown us exactly what he is, and it breaks my heart. I love Kirk Cousins. And it's funny because I don't think anyone dislikes Kirk Cousins. I think everybody is rooting for Kirk Cousins. He's like the little engine that could. We're just like, Kirk, please be successful. Please prove us wrong. But Monday night, this big Monday Night Football game on national TV where everyone is watching, a big divisional game which can really help secure their spot in the playoff picture. This is what I have to say about that. Big-time players show up in big-time games. Kirk Cousins proved he's not a big-time player. Because again, big-time players show up in big-time games. You know who showed up on Monday night? Carson Wentz, the Eagles quarterback. But this topic is not about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is fantastic. He's the best young quarterback in the league. But this is about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has not given us evidence to say he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You know, I always preach this term evidence. Like currently, Notre Dame is ranked 9th in the nation. And I'm saying I have no evidence to believe in I have no evidence to believe in Notre Dame. And I use this when I talk about Boise State. I say, Boise State, what is their evidence that they're a top program in the nation? I have no evidence that Kirk Cousins is a top quarterback in the league. I love Kirk Cousins. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite 2 quarterbacks. I love Tom Brady. I love Derek Carr, and I love Kirk Cousins. I would love to be on the same football team as Kirk Cousins. And I believe Kirk Cousins will and should get a long-term contract. He will get a long-term contract. He should get a long-term contract. Kirk Cousins is worth a lot of money. But I don't feel easy or comfortable saying that. And I should. You know, last year I bought this new camera. I'm talking to this camera right now. And when I was looking around at cameras, I found a really good deal. It was a 4K camera. It had some of the options I wanted. I was almost about to buy this camera. But it was a brand I didn't trust. And I just felt kind of uneasy. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Something feels wrong about this. And I didn't buy the camera. Eventually, I found the right camera. I found the camera I'm talking into right now. When I saw this camera, I said, this is the right camera. Right now, bam, I pulled the trigger, I bought the camera. Because when you know, you know. And if you don't know, that's a problem. If we need to ask questions about Kirk Cousins, if we're unsure or we're still this far into the season saying, are we sure about Kirk Cousins? That's a problem. It's a big problem. I didn't buy the camera I wasn't unsure about. There should be no debate, no discussion about Kirk Cousins, and there is. That's a problem. Now, I still think Kirk Cousins should be paid like a franchise quarterback. He should get a long-term deal and a lot of money. The reason is because there are only 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 humans in the entire world who can do what he does. There's only a limited number of franchise quarterbacks in the world. So even though I don't like the way Kirk Cousins is playing, even though I feel uneasy saying he deserves a lot of money, he does, but that's because there's not enough there. When you're buying a camera because you can't find what you really want, not because, that's a problem. You should buy the camera you want. You should buy a camera because it's the camera you want and the camera you believe is right for you. You should sign a quarterback because you think the quarterback is the best quarterback for you. But the problem is you can't do that in the NFL. You can't be the guys that get rid of Kirk Cousins because what if he goes off and does all right to good and you're stuck with nothing? Because where are the Redskins going to get another quarterback? So in summary, I love Kirk Cousins. I think he's fantastic. But Kirk Cousins, honestly, is the camera I didn't buy. Because it was the one that was like, I'm not sure, and I'm not going to pull the trigger. As much as I love Kirk Cousins, I'm becoming more and more aware of his glaring flaws. And maybe, and I hope it's not too late for him to improve, because he's got a good work ethic. He's a great leader. Maybe someday he can become elite. But man, that's a silly thought, because who has elevated their team? We can make all the excuses we want for Kirk Cousins. His coordinator left, and he's got not great wide receivers, but the truth is Carson Wentz has elevated everyone around him. Tom Brady elevates everyone around him. Kirk Cousins does not. Kirk Cousins needs help to win. So as much as I love Kirk, I love watching his sound bites. I love his Instagram. The harsh reality is that Kirk Cousins is not good enough. Kirk Cousins has not proven himself. He had a chance. He had a big chance on the national stage on Monday, and he did not grab the bull by the horns and prove his worth. And I'm disappointed. I'm sad, but that's the harsh reality. Kirk Cousins is not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I've been very critical of the Steelers all season. I don't like their locker room turmoil. I blame the coach. I love Mike Tomlin. There's no coach better on the podium than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, he's kind of like Mike Leach, Washington State's quarterback. He's interesting. He's funny. I love Mike Tomlin as the guy. I don't know that I love Mike Tomlin, the coach, because he's got all kinds of issues in the locker room, and it's Mike Tomlin's job to reel in the locker room. Here's the latest story and the latest issue out of Pittsburgh. Why I don't believe in the Steelers. We have a wide receiver throwing all kinds of temper tantrums about not getting the ball. Diva wide receivers, man. Martavius Bryant said this the other day. He said, if things don't get better, if I don't get the ball more, if things don't get better, then I got to go. He's saying, I only got targeted twice in the last game. I want the ball thrown to me more. And he's saying that if he doesn't get the ball more, he wants to leave and be traded away from the Steelers. When I hear that, I say you have to move him. Regardless of whether he can help you or not, whatever, you have to get rid of Martavius Bryant. Martavius Bryant has checked out. He can no longer help you. Get rid of him. When your girlfriend threatens to break up with you if you don't do something, what do? You break up with her. Yeah, one time, a long time ago, my ex-girlfriend said, come to college with me or I will break up with you. And I was heartbroken. I was sad, but I knew right there, this relationship is over. We broke up. Where does it end? So when someone says, do this or else, when someone holds that over your head, where does it end? Because first it's like, cut your hair or I'll break up with you. Take these classes. Wear some glasses or I'll break up with you. Dress this way or I'll break up with you. Play guitar if I'll break up with you. Go to college. Move in with me or I'll break up with you. A relationship is a partnership, not a debate. You have to trade Martavius Bryant. The Steelers quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, cannot be second guessing his throws. He can't be saying with every decision, Antonio Brown's open, but I should probably throw to Martavius Bryant so he doesn't get mad and leave our football team. You cannot work under those conditions. You can't date someone if they're holding everything over your head. Just like you can't work with someone who's constantly saying, do this or I'll leave. Nope. No. Go home. Check out. You cannot work with those kind of people. It reminds me of this. Are you buying chocolates for your girlfriend because you actually want to buy her chocolates? Or because she said, buy me chocolates or I'll break up with you? Enough said right there. You cannot live your life that way. That is not a healthy relationship. And you can't work with people like that. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to trade Martavis Bryant. I don't care if he's good. I don't care if he helps you. I don't care if you don't get any value for him. He's now useless to you because he has a bad attitude, and you don't want to work with people like that. You can't have people saying, throw me the ball or else. That is unacceptable, and the Steelers need to trade Martavis Bryant. This is my favorite segment of this entire show. Oh my goodness. I do this every week after Monday Night Football. This is NFL buy or sell. It's like buying stocks. I buy a football team or I sell a football team. This is NFL buy or sell. This week I am selling the Broncos. Man, I got this one wrong. All year I have said the Broncos, I've said all year that you need a quarterback to win. And I really thought the Broncos were the exception to this rule. I thought with their incredible defense, the Broncos could overcome. But the truth is, you need a quarterback to win. And Trevor Siemian, their quarterback, is like a guy driving a golf cart trying to win a NASCAR race. It is just not working. I'm selling the Broncos. The Raiders. This is the hardest call I've had to make all year. The Raiders' defense is awful. But Derek Carr's playing hurt. So they have a bad defense and a hurt quarterback. But guess what? I have to pick one, buy or sell. I'm not doing this wait and see. I am buying the Raiders because Derek Carr is the number 2 quarterback, the number 2 athlete in the MVP race. It's Tom Brady and Derek Carr. Derek Carr has magic, and so I believe in Derek Carr. I'm buying the Raiders. I'm selling the Packers. And this is the last time I will ever mention the Packers in this segment. I'm done with the Packers after this. The Packers don't have a quarterback. Enough said. It's over. I'll see you next season, Packers, but you're done this year. I'm selling the Packers for good. I'm buying the Patriots. The Patriots have the league MVP Tom Brady. And now their defense is figuring it out. I said earlier in the year, the Patriots have fixable problems on defense. And now the Patriots are fixing their mistakes. They're like a good stock. They have a great owner, a great coach, and a legendary quarterback. The Patriots okay. I'm buying the Patriots. I'm selling the Steelers. The Steelers are a weird team. They're in a terrible division, so they don't need to do much to win and make the playoffs. But that's all they're going to do. They're going to make the playoffs, fizzle out, and die. The Steelers will not win the Super Bowl this year, next year, the year after that. They need to get a new head coach if they want to win a Super Bowl. There's too much turmoil going on in the locker room. I'm selling the Steelers. I'm still buying the Kansas City Chiefs. I love the Chiefs. They have the best roster in the league. They have a great coach. Alex Smith is playing fantastic. And it's funny, everyone is ready to just bail on them. And it's like, guys, they had one bad game and they lost a heartbreaker. The Chiefs are fine. I'm buying the Chiefs. They're the biggest challenge to the Patriots in the AFC. I'm selling the Bears. I shelved the Packers for the season. I'm doing the same thing with the Bears. The Bears are done. I like Mitch Trubisky, but he needs time to develop and time to improve. Mitch Trubisky's not there yet. I'm selling the Bears. I am all in on the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my goodness, they are the best team in the NFC and maybe in the entire NFL. They have the best young quarterback in the league and both sides of the ball. The Seahawks are really good on defense, on their defensive line, but the Seahawks offensive line struggles. The Patriots in adjusted position are better on the offensive line and bad on the defensive line. The Eagles are one of those rare teams where they are good on both sides, the offensive line and the defensive line, and that is how you will win games in November. I am buying as much of the Eagles as I possibly can. But you know what doesn't win games in November? Tyrod Taylor. I'm done with the Bills. The Bills have a great defense. The Bills have a mediocre quarterback. We need to learn from the Broncos. You can't have a mediocre to bad quarterback and a great defense and win in the NFL. I'm selling the Bills. And finally, I am selling Cam Newton. The Panthers need a new quarterback. I'm done. I've watched for years. I've seen enough over the years. Cam Newton doesn't have it. He's emotionally immature. He's all over the place. He struggles with accuracy. I don't like the way he dresses. That's one of my things. It's not that important, but his play is all over the place, and he's not the leader I would want in my football team. I don't trust Cam Newton, and he's like a toddler. I wouldn't want him to run my football team. That has been NFL Buy or Sell. Thank you so much for listening. Before we go on break, the other night, there was a late call in the Rockets and Grizzlies game. The Rockets had the ball down 4 points with a minute left. It was 94-90. The Rockets have the ball. And James Harden threw a pass to one of his teammates, and the ref got in the way, and the ref knocked the ball off the court, and the ball was out of bounds, Memphis Grizzlies ball. So the Rockets felt screwed over. They lost their possession. They ended up losing the game 98-90. And Rockets fans went ballistic. They were so angry. Rockets fans were like, the refs cost us this game. They ruined our comeback, yada, yada. Be very cautious when you blame the refs for a loss. I love my high school coach, best coach I ever had in my life. My high school football coach, Steve Kaiser, amazing, amazing guy. He had this saying once. He said, if we lose a game because of the refs, that's on us. If we ever let a game come down to the wire where the refs can make a decision and cost us the game, that's on us. You had 4 quarters to earn a win. The Rockets had 4 quarters to play good enough to win the game. They could have been up by 20, but they weren't. I will rarely ever take the side of a team in this position. I will almost always side with the refs because you cannot live your life that way. You can just say, look, hey, we had a chance. We blew it. We left the game. Left the game up in the air where it's 50-50. The refs cost us the game. If you want to win the game, win by 20, then there's no debate ever. I just will rarely, ever take the side of the players. Every once in a while, I will side with the players, not the refs. But for the most part, I will always side with the refs. Coming up next, I'm so excited. Mark and Drake are probably outside right now. We are going to discuss the World Series Game 1. Cam Newton, why I'm selling Cam Newton. I'm done with Cam Newton. We're going to talk also about the Seahawks and the Washington State football program. Can WSU go 10-2? My name is Zach Schaumler. I'm going to take a short break. Subscribe on iTunes. This show is growing. The show is building. It's really fun. We're on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. And tell your friends about this show. This is my favorite thing. It's my passion project. It's what I do in college. And it's what I want to do someday. You know, if I had my way, NFL Buy or Sell would be on Tuesdays because I do the show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But until I have the audience and can monetize it, that's not going to happen. So tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. My name is Zach Schaumler. Mark and Drake are coming up next. I'll be right back. What's up, everybody? We're back. This is Drake. This is Mark. Last night, the Game 1 of the World Series happened. And I've said, I've had a lot of backlash on Twitter for this. I've said that I think it will be a 5-game series. I think tomorrow, whenever they play next, the Astros.
Actually, they play tonight.
Justin Verlander's pitching. They'll win that matchup. But after that, I think the Dodgers are primed to win the series in 5 games. What do you guys feel about that?
I actually agree with you, Zach.
Really?
I'm rooting for the Astros, but I really do think that the Dodgers do have this in the bag. The Dodgers have just been way too good this year, and we saw it again last night. We had, Kershaw he pitched 7 innings, had an earned run.
Unbelievable.
11 strikeouts, no walks.
Yeah.
Incredible game by Clayton Kershaw. And the craziest thing is that, if it does go 5 games, he's gonna pitch another game and most likely gonna need another dub.
Isn't that scary?
It is. It is scary.
He's gonna pitch twice. I mean,
it's just crazy. And then if you also look at it, they led off the game with the leadoff home run from Chris Taylor, the ex-Mariner, by the way.
It hurts a little bit.
It does. A lot of bit, actually. A lot of bit. Where were you at when we had you, Chris? So. And then Justin Turner, 2-run bomb.
Is he the best?
Night.
Is Justin Turner the best batter this side of in America? Maybe at least on the West Coast. Justin Turner is incredible.
On the West Coast?
Yeah. I think Justin Turner is unbelievable.
He's got the best hair in the league.
Oh yeah,
there we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I love about Justin Turner? This is not related to sports, but he just doesn't even look like an athlete. Like you're like, is that guy working at the lumberjack yard really play baseball? Like it's like, I know. Like if Shelby saw Justin Turner, she'd be like, is that your friend from the, school or does he play baseball? Like I don't know.
Oh man, no. And actually, can I just give a shout out real quick to Corey Seager? Corey Seager came back, his first game back, after missing the whole ALCS against the Cubs.
Yep.
And he was 2 for 3 last night, and
fantastic.
It's just incredible. I mean, to think that they went and killed the Cubs in that ALCS in 4 games, and to have Corey Seager come back now, in the World Series, and just how much better he makes their team, it's just incredible. And then also George Springer, 4 Ks last night. The Astros just didn't have it, and
here's what's weird about this World Series is that the Astros really are a better story. I mean, the Astros were like the Cleveland Browns of baseball. They were nothing. In fact, when they were so irrelevant, I'm embarrassed to say this, when they moved to the AL, I didn't even know. I had no idea because I don't pay attention to the Astros. No one does. And normally, America grabs on to the underdog. But America doesn't seem to be rooting for them. America seems to want the LA Dodgers to win the game and win the World Series. And it's just a weird kind of thing I noticed. I was like, normally we root for the underdog, and here we're not. because I really believe the Dodgers, they don't have a flaw in their lineup. The Dodgers are, I mean, I don't follow a lot of baseball, but I've watched this year. It's always the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, every time I look, they're just unbelievable, a game after unbelievable game. Like they had that stretch this season where it's like, are they going to lose ever this season? It's ridiculous.
It's incredible. I mean, and as a Mariners fan like me and Drake, we kind of expected that the Astros would be bad when they first joined our division, but they've definitely proven us wrong.
Well, their story is unbelievable, really. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I got to say this series is over. I saw on ESPN Stats and Info Twitter's page, they talked about how in the wild card era, the team to win Game 1 of the World Series goes on to win the series.
Really?
82% of the time. So
Interesting.
I do think this series is over. I do think it will go 5. The problem is Astros can't win on the road. We saw it in the ALCS. They lose all 3 games in New York.
Yeah.
They lost last night against the Dodgers.
Again on the road.
They can't win on the road. And obviously to win this series, they got to be able to win on the road, and I don't see that happening. Dodgers bullpen, too. They've been absolutely just lights out, okay? They, in this postseason, have 23 scoreless innings pitched, okay? So that's a recipe for success, and that's today's baseball now. If you want to be successful, your bullpen has to be on point. So
100%.
Dodgers bullpen's great, and one thing I'd like to add, I wish Vin Scully would come back and just call the rest of the World Series with like Joe Buck. I think it'd be such a cool thing for Fox to do that, just to bring him in. But I mean, he is retired now, and he's been a long time Dodger broadcaster. So it would have been cool if he could have came back for this. A lot of people I know wanted him to come back too. So.
You know what I would like to see? Just either an inning or like a 7th inning stretch. I don't expect him to come back, but like make an appearance. I think that'd be really cool.
Or even if he does, like, take me out to the ball game or something. Like 7th inning stretch. Like, how cool would that be for Dodgers fans to see that? Because
I'd love to see him make an appearance. Again, I think it's kind of unfair to call a guy who's how old is he? He's upper 80s at this point?
Yeah,
I think he's in his 80s.
He's old,
yeah.
Call him back. I mean,
80s.
the guy retired. He's done. I'd leave him alone. But if he wants to come back, maybe I haven't heard from him. I'd love to hear from him. What does he want to do? Because I think he's Vin Scully. If he wants to be involved, he can do whatever he wants.
Very true.
I agree. I agree. How much does it suck though that last year he retires, right? And then this year they're going to the World Series, most likely going to win. How cool would it have been for him to retire this year?
I know we missed it by 1 year.
I know.
I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I believe the Dodgers will win in 5. What are your prediction? Who are you rooting for?
I got Dodgers in 5. I'm kind of, I'd like to see the Astros, same division as the Mariners, but I just think, just truthfully, I think the Dodgers are just too much for the Astros right now. So I got the Dodgers in 5.
Mark?
From a fan perspective, I want this to go 7. I want this to go 7.
Agreed, 100% actually.
And I'm rooting for the Astros, but realistically, I think the Dodgers, I do agree with you guys. Dodgers win in 5. Actually, I wouldn't even be surprised if they won in 4, to be honest. So
I want to talk about Steph Curry. I said on Monday on the show, Steph Curry gets a free pass, and it drives me nuts. I think if Steph Curry and LeBron James did exactly the same things, we would hate LeBron James, and we would still love Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry, no matter, it's like he's I don't know a good comparison, but he gets away with so many things because he's likable, and it drives me insane.
And I do have a good comparison for Steph Curry. He reminds me of that little kid at daycare. He's kind of that devil child. He looks great, when you just look at the guy, man, he looks awesome. What a nice little kid. And then when he actually shows his true emotion, when the daycare lady or whatever's not there and he's around all the other kids, and he gets super pissed off, and he just, he throws his mouth guard at an official? Are you kidding me? How is he not suspended? I don't understand that. And again, the NBA is just showing, again, why, Steph Curry is at another level of, I don't even know, I don't know the word for it.
Well, I love your comparison.
But he gets a pass. He gets a pass from the NBA, and it sucks. It sucks to see that because, again, the NBA loves the Warriors, and they drive the NBA, which I don't blame them. But also, you got to discipline your players for that. You got to hold everybody to a certain standard. This is the NBA. This is not like pickup basketball where you can just do whatever the hell you want. No, you need to suspend Steph Curry at least, I think, 2 games. You throw a mouth guard an official, okay?
Yeah,
that's pathetic. That's pathetic on his part, and only to be fined, I believe it was $50,000. That's it. You kidding me?
That's a joke.
That is a joke for Steph Curry and again, the NBA, and it looks bad. It looks bad. So that's my take on it.
I love your comparison because we all knew a guy growing up who was like a total punk and a pain in the butt when no one's watching. Yeah. But then the teachers show up or the coach shows up and he's Mr. Perfect. I knew a guy like this once, and we were like enemies growing up in 5th grade all through life. We finally both played quarterback in high school, and I finally beat him. I got the last laugh. But man, it was so annoying. We all knew a kid like that, and that is Steph Curry. It's a great comparison. And here's the thing about this is that I really, really believe that like the way they responded to it after the game, Steph Curry's laughing about it, making jokes, and Steve Kerr's like, oh, he should be suspended for 10 games. He really endangered thousands of people. They don't take it seriously at all. And they're not holding him accountable for his actions, which is what we should do. I'm biased. I don't like Steph Curry anyways, but it drives me nuts that if any other NBA player in the league did this, they would be reprimanded, and Steph Curry gets a free pass.
You know, I'm curious about
Steph
your
Curry.
Take. Yeah, because you are a Warriors player.
Fan.
He's my favorite player. I love the Warriors.
Can't wait to hear this.
But I was very disappointed in Steph when I saw this, that he threw his mouth guard. I watched the replay, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't process why he would do that. Why did he throw his mouth guard? Did he want a foul? If he wanted a foul, that was not a foul, and he had absolutely no reason to throw that mouth guard. But I'm actually, for a personal story for me, I think Steph, having 2 MVPs, winning 2 NBA Finals, and just how much success he's had in the NBA, he's getting to that point where he's kind of just has started letting that all that success get to his head. I think personally, and I'm guilty of this as well, because when I go to the rec and I find myself playing insanely well for weeks at a time, months at a time, man, I am on the highest pedestal.
And we'll tell you about it.
Oh man,
I'm the same way. I love winning.
Absolutely,
there's nothing better than being
I let it go to my head. I think I'm just the greatest guy who walks in the court when I go out there sometimes, and it's just an awful attitude to have. And personally, for me, I think Steph needs to be humbled, and I really do think that he should have been suspended. Give him that 2-game suspension, humble him, and not only humble him, but humble the Warriors. The Warriors, they're too confident. They're not even they're confident, but they're starting to get cocky now. You know what I mean? And
the knowing kind.
Exactly.
Go away.
And I think that the Warriors, they need to be humbled, and Steph needs to stop being a diva when he walks on the court. Agreed. He needs to go out there and he needs to just play ball. And this is coming from a Steph fan. I love Steph. He's my favorite player.
Agreed. Yeah, you are. You have his shoes.
I do. He's my favorite player.
He does.
But I did not like this from Steph, and I really hope that the Warriors can get on the right track and stop being so cocky and start playing basketball. I almost wish that they kind of, lose some games and be 10 games under 500 so they can be humbled and start playing some good ball. That's how I feel.
So side note I do have off that, Kevin Durant, by the way, he's also got to be mature. He actually flipped off the official.
He did the ring finger. That's what he's claiming it was the ring finger.
But even
the video looked like he was flipping off the official.
Well, does this look like a middle finger? It probably does.
Well, okay, but it's
still immature and wrong.
It was very quick. But again,
regardless, you can't do it.
He ended up getting
even
ejected.
if it was,
he ended up getting ejected.
As he should have been. As he should have been.
So again, just being mature. And I think the Warriors were frustrated. Okay, Memphis really got in their head. They were on the road. I'm sure their fans were being very rowdy as they normally are in Memphis, the grindhouse. So. Yeah, I mean, it definitely boiled all over, and it was kind of a bad sight to see. You kind of wish that was more in the locker room, maybe everybody getting pissed instead of out in the court. Everybody's out there, and it was under a minute in the game. It was a 10-point game. Grizz were going to win. They obviously did win. So,
I these opinions are coming from 2 guys that don't like the Warriors and aren't huge Steph fans. And I love the Warriors.
I think the Warriors are the most unlikable team in the NBA.
But doing this kind of stuff, it gives me a reason to want to root against them.
Yeah.
Because these aren't the Warriors that I started to root for when they first started, when they were up and coming. You know what I mean? Now they just have so much cockiness and just so much just bad vibe going around them that I don't know. They just think they're just on the highest pedestal, and it's just annoying to me.
We see this effect with everybody. I want to give you guys are not going to get this at all, but there's a YouTuber called they're a group called H3H3, and they've come up from nothing to being really successful, making a lot of money, and they don't flaunt it. You watch all these guys, creators come up, and we watch them develop into something. You're like, I don't like what you are anymore, because they get success, they get money, they get the car, they get the wife, and you're like, now you're kind of a cocky guy I don't want to be a fan of, and it's so hard to manage that growing up. So I do understand where the Warriors are coming from, because they're not that bad. Like, Steph seems like, I'm not a fan. He does seem like a legitimately good guy, like a guy that'd be fun to hang out with, and kind of a punk, but not in a mean way, just kind of in I'm fun in Steph Curry way.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, I do, and that's why I'm pretty disappointed in them. But I do understand that this happens to people. I mean, it's happened to me. It's it's happened to other people. But that's why it's tough to stay humbled. But that's something that you need to do. And I just think it'll take an event, Warriors losing 5 games in a row or something, in order for them to get humble again. So
Steph Curry, I think, is showing a little bit of immaturity. But I'm willing to forgive that. Here's a guy whose immaturity I'm unwilling to forgive.
Oh, yeah.
I am done with Cam Newton. I think the Panthers should get rid of him. I think it's over. I would trade him or release. I don't know. I'm done. I've watched him for years do the same thing, these antics. He's immature. He's emotionally all over the place. He dresses like a guy. Like, dude, you're not an NFL quarterback. If you high fashion, I'm sorry. You're the only quarterback doing that. And I know you want to express yourself, but I'm not a fan of it. And he can't hit the broadside of a barn. We've seen the guy for years struggle with accuracy over and over and over again. And he has high moments. He really does have moments where it's like, hey, he's an incredible athlete. I get why people like him. But I'm done with him. I don't believe in him. He's never going to win. He's not the guy I would want being the top of my franchise. Because I want stability like Russell Wilson or Tom Brady. Not a flamboyant 2-year-old. And that's what Cam Newton is to me. What do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel?
I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as getting rid of Cam Newton, but I don't. I'm with you, Zach. I don't like him. I don't like his attitude, and it sucks for that organization because he is that face of the franchise, and it does suck for the Panthers. And for me, I don't know any Panthers fans. Do you? I know a lot of fans who root against the Panthers, but for me, I do think Cam Newton is a very talented player, very good player, and we've seen it before. He did take this team to a Super Bowl, and they possibly should have won that Super Bowl had they played a little better.
Yeah.
I do think that Cam can't. It's up to Cam though. Cam needs to change his attitude, and he needs to just be about ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he needs to stop with all this flamboyant stuff and all this unneeded attention.
Yeah.
Unneeded attention.
Yeah.
You don't need that. Play football.
Look at
you know
Carson
what I mean?
Wentz. Carson Wentz wears jeans and his shirt.
Exactly.
And he's low-key and he's stable. He's not all over the place emotionally. He's not throwing up celebrations and doing stuff that's just like, why are you drawing attention to yourself? Draw attention with your play. That's what I like to see from Cam Newton. Be quiet and earn my respect with your play on the field. I don't want to hear your mouth and I don't want to see. I don't know. And I'm very biased. Again, I really don't like Cam Newton at all. I've said this for years, but I'm getting sick of it. We compare middle-of-the-road quarterbacks where Tom Brady's capable of winning a Super Bowl. I don't think Kirk Cousins is anymore. And I talked today on the show how I'm done with Kirk Cousins. Cam Newton's kind of in the same territory. It's like the guy isn't working. He's good because he makes money for your football team, keeps you viable. But it's like you're not going to get to the next level, Cam. I'm sorry, but you're done. And what do you do with that? What do you think?
Yeah.
Drake?
So on Cam Newton, he's a guy that obviously is very immature. But again, going back to your point, he's not a Russell Wilson. He's not a Tom Brady. Those are two quarterbacks that are very hard to find in general. Okay.
True. Sure.
Very difficult there. I love his talent though. He's a very solid quarterback. I mean, he's 6'5", 250. I mean, you can't find that in too many quarterbacks.
Say, though, I know it's hard to find, but you're not going to find how many guys in the league just do their job and are quiet. He's the one outstanding guy that's like, dude, what are you doing?
Here's where I'm not going to defend him. Okay, so I mean, going back to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson made one of the bigger mistakes in Super Bowl history. Throwing that pick on the 1-yard line. Yeah. He absolutely owned it after the game. He talked to the press. He owned his whole thing. He blamed himself, and
he lost with grace.
Okay, Cam Newton, after losing the Super Bowl to Denver, just wasn't there. He didn't lose with grace, and that's been his whole issue. And until he can learn to lose with grace, because I noticed it, a lot of his problems have been coming off losses. He can't. I mean, this last weekend against Chicago, he got absolutely owned.
Yeah.
He got absolutely owned. But when he wins, everything's okay. But he's got to learn to lose with grace. And once he does that, I think we'll start seeing a different Cam Newton. But again, when is that going to be? And is Carolina willing to wait on that?
I want to call it something I've done that's kind of a cheap shot. I make fun of his clothing, and I actually kind of regret doing that because what I would like to do is discuss his play on the field. Because I do think it's a cheap shot to talk about his fashion, the way he dresses. That's not about football. I don't know if fans listening want to hear me talk about that, but it is something that drives me nuts. And it's indicative of a bigger problem, which is you're being flashy and you're drawing attention. And aside from the way he dresses, I just think he's emotionally immature. The way he responds to criticism or responds to failure.
Yes.
You watch the game he's down 14-0 to the Bears, and he looks like he's down 50-0 or 100-0. He's mopey and down. It's like, dude, wake up. Because Russell Wilson, when he's down, we've seen it time and time again. He's, let's go, guys, let's go. Cam Newton doesn't have that, and it's killing me. I'm just done with him.
Just going off your guys' idea of Cam not losing very well, I think Cam, and I think that all of us can actually learn something from Russell Wilson and how he takes losses. I'm going to go back to a game last year where it was probably the hardest watch Seahawks game I've ever had to watch. And it was the game at Green Bay last year where Russell Wilson threw 5 interceptions. My favorite press conference I think I've ever watched was Russell Wilson after that game and what he said. And he was short with his answers, and he said, "We just didn't have it today. I threw 5 picks. That's my bad. But the nice thing about football is I'm excited for next week." He said that. I'm excited for next week. And to me, taking that and looking at that press conference is, even though he was being asked questions and being asked to reflect on the game, Russell Wilson was already projecting his mind into next week. He said, this was a bad game. We got to flush it. We can't dwell on it, because if we dwell on it, we're not going to play better next week. And he was already on to next week, and he was just ready to go. And I just loved that. And personally, I take that into my life, and I start doing that with a bunch of other things that I do, even school.
Because bad things happen, man. It's all about how you respond.
Exactly.
You do bad on a test, or you crash your car. Move on. Actually, this summer, that's a great example. Before we go to the break, I crashed my car this summer. The first day I started my job in LA, I crashed my car. And instead of letting it ruin the trip, I was like, you know what? I can't change what happened. I'm going to smile, nod, move on, and really enjoy LA. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is Strong Opinion Sports. I'm joined by Drake and Mark. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the Seahawks. Can Washington State football go 10-2? And Notre Dame is in the top 10, and I have a very strong opinion. I'm really excited for that debate. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes. Drake, do you have something to say?
Are we still talking Ohio State, Penn State?
We will. That's after the break.
We better.
You're right. You're totally right. When we come back, Ohio State, Notre Dame, WSU, Seahawks. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and go share this show with your friends. If you like it, you want it to grow, tell your friends about the show. My name is Zach Schaumler. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. I'm joined by Mark and Drake. Drake, we have watched every football team for WSU this season. I've worked on the sidelines, and we've been around this team all season long. And before they lost to Cal, my prediction was they will go 10-2. Now, they lost to Cal, and they beat USC, which is kind of a surprise flip-flop. Do we think they can still go 10-2 on the season? Because their schedule coming up next, they have Arizona, Stanford, a tough game. They're number 20, Utah, and then number 12, UW. And all the last 3 games, Arizona, Utah, and UW are all away games. Can they go 10-2, Drake? What do you think?
I got to say this. Going down this 4-game stretch, it's going to be very difficult for the Cougs. Arizona is no slouch.
No.
And then, especially playing on the road, Arizona's played some good football right now. They're 3-1 in the Pac-12. I didn't think they were going to be anybody before the year, and especially last year, too. I mean, we beat them 69-7 here. That was insane. Best Dads weekend, by the way.
Well, can I say this, by the way? When you get embarrassed by a team like that, the next season, you want to come back and you bring everything you have. Because when you lose a game like that, you never want that to happen ever again.
And Arizona's going to give us everything we have, because they got a lot to play for. They still got to play for the South. But going to my point, I really think this team can run the table to end the season. Here's why, okay? Luke Falk came back this season for unfinished business. He quoted that, okay? Because he could have easily gone to the NFL. And, I wouldn't have blamed them at all if he would have went to the NFL, because, we could have moved on. We had, we got some younger players. Gabe Marks was gone. River Craycraft, 2 of his more favorite receivers. But he came back for, unfinished business. And I still think he is looking at going to that Pac-12 championship, because we haven't done that, since they actually started the Pac-12 championship. And that, I think, will be a huge step in the direction for this program. I think they can run the table and finish the season and go to the Pac-12 championship. Will they win it? I don't know, because I don't know who's coming out of the South yet.
Well, let's assume USC.
Let's assume USC. That will be a doozy of a ball game. I think that would be an incredible ball game. I think we could beat them too. But again, that's a lot. That's a lot to ride. But again, this defense is playing so well right now. I love where they're at. They're getting turnovers. And again, to shut out, they've had 2 shutouts this year, and I don't care who you're playing. You shut out a college football team, that's awesome. That's really good. But Alex Grinch has done an incredible job, and I think his schemes that he uses really, really put teams at a disadvantage. So it's going to be fun to watch here coming down the stretch. It will be tough. It will be tough to run the table, but I think this team can do it. I have a good feeling about this team, but again, we'll see.
Mark, I have a very simple question for you. What is our biggest statement win this season as a Washington State football team?
I think the obvious answer would be USC. I was very impressed, though, with our win against Colorado. And the reason I say that is just because that game, I don't know if people watching it could tell on TV, but we were at that game, and that was just a wet game. My clothes are still wet from that game, I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Wow. And use a dryer, Mark. Come on, Mark. I know your mom didn't teach you much, but come on, buddy.
And it's just, but the reason I'm impressed with that win is just because, we shut out Colorado, and we were catching the ball decently in the wet rain, and that's a tough game. And I don't care who you're playing in the rain like that. That's a tough ball game to win. But I do think my answer for the statement win we've had is USC, and I just thought Wazoo played a good game.
I said a simple question, Mark, and you gave me this amazing answer. What do I do with that? No, that's a great answer. No, I agree. Because the Colorado, you can't take for granted the Colorado game. Winning that way, 28-0 in pouring rain, throwing the ball so well in the rain. But for me, USC, if you look nationally, they look down at us and they say, they beat USC. And USC is currently, I think, being discredited by it. They lost to Notre Dame, who, in my opinion, is overrated. We'll talk about that later. And they were dominated up front by Texas, and we struggled. We beat them in a close game. I know they lost to Texas, but they got decimated up front by Texas. And I really, really think that our weakness, and I know that I've flip-flopped all the time on this, is our front seven and our offensive line good enough? Are our linemen big enough and strong enough to beat a team like UW or Stanford? And I really think, I think we're going to lose to UW. I don't have any confidence, but the game we're skipping over is Stanford. I think Stanford, I know Cameron Scarlett personally, I think Stanford could just run all over us.
Well, going off that point, can I just go real quick, Drake?
Yeah, you go, and then I will roast.
I'm personally nervous for all these games because I mean we can't overlook any of these games if you think about it. Arizona on the road, Utah on the road, Stanford at home. That's a tough game, and UW will by far be the toughest game because playing in Husky Stadium. I've been to a lot of games in Husky Stadium. Not easy to play there, and going to games in Husky Stadium is way different than playing in Martin Stadium.
Before you go, I want to say that the difference with UW and every other team in the Pac-12, I think they're the only team up front who can compete on a national level. I think they could compete with Oklahoma up front. I think they would lose to Alabama. They would lose to an SEC team, but they could compete up front with a Georgia or with I'm not going to say Ohio State, but I think Penn State. They could compete up front. They'd lose, but they'd be competitive. And I don't think any other team in the Pac-12 can compete up front in the trenches with their offensive and defensive linemen nationally. Drake, what do you have to say? Roast me. Tell me why we're going to beat Stanford.
Okay, so you talked about how Stanford would run all over us. Okay, so the matchup last year, we played at Stanford, okay?
Yeah.
And we blew them out at home. We absolutely took Christian McCaffrey out of the game, who's now with the Carolina Panthers and having a pretty good start to his rookie season.
Totally.
And he was also a Heisman candidate. But it's the same formula this year. Bryce Love, solid running back, will be in the NFL one day and killing
in fact,
it probably.
limited, not as good as Christian McCaffrey.
I think he's almost as good.
You think so?
No joke.
Okay.
He could be that guy, but again, they can't throw the football. And the Cougs Alex Grinch has done an incredible job 2 years in a row playing Stanford. He did an incredible job taking away Christian McCaffrey and that running back. But the Cougs can't compete up front. Their D linemen, they're like snakes. They're like little snakes. They get through the line. Yes, obviously physically, no, they cannot compete. But Cougs do some different schemes that I think that will allow their speed D, as they like to call it, give them an advantage, and especially too, we're at home. Okay, we got the Martin Stadium crowd. It's a fun crowd. Zoo Crew gonna be lit.
So can they go 10-2? I think it's overwhelmingly possible. I think they can beat. Utah has quarterback issues. Arizona is no slouch, but I think we can beat Arizona. And I do, even though I really do not have a lot of faith that we can beat Stanford, I think we do because again, you look at quarterbacks. What's the thing? You look at the quarterbacks, you look at the coach, and you look at the rest of the defense. We have them beat. We have a better quarterback, a better coach, and comparable athletes. So I think we win Stanford.
Yes.
UW, I think we're going to lose. I just have no faith we can beat UW.
I agree.
So I think 10-2 is possible and reasonable.
Can we just going off what Drake was saying about stopping their running backs well?
Yeah.
But we also lost to Stanford 2 years ago when they had Christian McCaffrey at home on Halloween.
And you were there.
By 2. I was there, yeah. And so I do think that the Cougs are a better team than they were 2 years ago, especially I think our defense is playing better, and Luke Falk is just better as a quarterback. And we're just having things clicking right now besides that Cal game. But I think the Stanford game is going to be a very close game, hard-fought battle, kind of like the battle we had against USC. That's how I think that game will be.
Yeah.
So
I'm so excited. This season has been incredibly fun. We can say we went to WSU when they were in the top 10. That's unbelievable.
It's insane. I mean, it's so cool. And Drake, I mean, for Drake and then for me
biggest
as well.
Fan I know in the world is Drake.
I mean, I've been here. My 3 years being here, we've been ranked every season.
That's so cool.
So I don't know if it's just because I'm here and I'm just a good luck charm or.
Well, remember growing up. We should move on, but remember growing up. WSU was like the Browns. I've said this, the Houston Astros were the Browns of baseball. WSU is the Browns of college football, man. I know people, Nathan, our best friend Nathan, diehard Coug fan, would wear Coug shirts everywhere. When they were losing every game, they were just atrocious. And that's a testament. I think so many fans that are WSU fans have been there through thick and thin, and it's so cool to see the football team kind of give them something to root for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, I go back to when the Cougs played USC, it was here. And, I forget what year it was. I think it was 2000.
Is it on the plays in the song? They show that clip when they play the song and the whole stadium sings. Na 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 na. Is it played during that? They show a clip of the USC game.
This is a ways away.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Was this like 2008?
this
game?
This might have been this was the year that they got like blown out like 59-0.
Oh, wow.
It was it was so bad. Like, I mean, USC was like kneeling in the second half.
Jeez.
And like they were, I mean,
so they
like
got blown out.
early in the second half.
It's
like,
funny you bring that game
it was
up,
so
Drake.
bad, but I was gonna say the change that this program has had, and we got to thank again Mike Leach and his coaching staff, and also Bill Moose, even though he's gone now, but also putting the money forward to get a good football complex, so we can get some good, solid recruits coming in, because it's fun to see these recruits coming into Wazoo in the next few years. I mean, we got some big time players coming in, and this should continue for us in the Pac-12, and I like our chances, going forward.
It's funny that you brought that game up, Drake, because we have a buddy Tyler, and he is like the biggest Coug fan.
It's him or Drake, man.
Oh man, that Colorado game this last week. We all left at halftime just because it was so wet and rainy and cold. You stayed, but we
you
decided.
Were paid, so you're
yeah. So it was a little different.
Paid.
But anyways, we left, and Tyler stayed that whole game.
Did he really?
He did. But
what's his last name? Can we give him a shout out?
Tyler Bowe.
Tyler Bowe, you are a champ. I love you.
Yes.
Baby.
Wow. He did?
He did. Yeah, man. He would
I
not.
didn't want to be there. I was getting
budge.
paid
He
to
would
be
not
there.
leave. I know, it was awesome. But anyways, just going off what Drake was saying about that USC game, I think it was like 2008. I want to say something like that. It might have been early. I can't remember.
I think it was. Yeah.
But anyways, Tyler was just showing me pictures before the USC game this year, and he said, "Mark, look at these pictures from the last time USC came to Pullman."
Did you see that? Those bugs crawled right into my room.
Oh, dude, I saw that.
Ridiculous.
I didn't want to say anything on
it's
air.
terrible.
But okay. Anyways, so Tyler shows me this picture, and Martin Stadium was empty.
Really?
By the third quarter, I'm pretty sure it was empty. Nobody was there. So
It's cool culture change. I want to stay in Washington. Drake, the Seahawks, we've watched this all year. You and I have personally debated, and if you don't know Drake, if you ever get a chance to meet Drake personally and watch a football game with him, it's a special treat. The guy just got so much energy and he's so excited. We've debated this, you know what I mean, all year.
I get a little scared when I watch games with him, man. I think he's gonna punch the TV.
Now, Drake, have the Seahawks turned a corner? Because we saw them beat the Giants, and I really personally think it's not as big a win as everyone thinks, because the Giants are crap. And we look at what we did against the Seahawks. Here's the split at halftime, if I may, before you go.
Yep.
Russell Wilson had 171 yards, and Eli Manning, the Giants quarterback, had 17 yards. The Seahawks had 15 first downs to the 4 the Giants had. We had run 41 plays, the Giants had run 18. We were dominating the stat book, but we were losing 7-3 to the New York Giants, possibly one of the worst teams in football. We did come back to win the game, but it's like, if we have performances like that, it's not going to work against other teams that are actually more talented and aren't 1-6. Drake.
Okay, so real quick, the NFL is kind of it's a week-to-week basis.
Sure,
okay,
totally.
so,
Any given Sunday.
So any team can win at any time. I mean, Miami
Agreed
went
with
into
that.
Atlanta and won. And Atlanta was blowing them out in the first half, and they didn't score the rest of the game. They ended up losing 20-17, just as an example. But I will go like this. Seattle reminds me a lot of me in my college career, I'd say. I don't have the greatest first semester. I do okay.
Yeah.
To my standards anyway.
You're not a 4.0 in fall.
No, I mean I'm like a 3-1. I'm like a 3-1, 3-2 guy in the fall. I don't know. I start slow when I get back from summer and have a lot of fun and enjoy yourself, and then you got to get back into school mode. It's kind of like Seattle getting back into football mode early in the season. It takes them a little bit, even though there's preseason and all that.
Yeah.
It still takes time to get on the same page. Okay. But when the second semester rolls around, I usually kill it, and it's fun, and I get back, and I'm already in football mode. And Seattle's like that. Seattle reminds me a lot of me, and they really try and kick it into high gear in that second tier of the season, and that second tier is actually starting this week 8. With the Houston Texans at home in Seattle. But I love where they're going right now. The schedule's favorable. Just signed Dwight Freeney. I love that call by GM John Schneider. He is a guy that will give us a ton of leadership and also help us out in the D-line, even though we just lost Cliff Averill, and he's on IR now. But I love where Seattle's going right now. Schedule, again, like I said, is favorable. Got to watch out for the Rams, but we did just beat the Rams at home, in LA.
Yep.
We still have them at home, so I like where Seattle's going. I like where they're going, and Russell Wilson is really, really turning a corner again this season, just hitting that stride. And, Darrell Bevel is definitely opening the offensive playbook for him. So it's cool to see. So
well, to your credit, Pete Carroll teams, you dropped this knowledge on me the other day. They always struggle early in the season. They always need to have a little bit of time to acclimate to the season and get moving. But I think the true hero this season is Russell Wilson. Because no matter what you put around Russell Wilson, he's the same player every single year. What else could you want from your quarterback than be consistent, no matter who the supporting cast is? And I think that's incredible that Russell Wilson has done that. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I mean, personally, Russell Wilson is my favorite player in the NFL, and he's just by a long shot, just ever. And it's kind of non-original to say that about your favorite NFL team, the quarterback being your favorite player. But I just love Russell Wilson's mindset, and I just love he just every single game he goes out there, he gives it his all, and he is always in the game no matter what. No matter what, they could be down 21 points, 28 points by 4 touchdowns.
Let's go.
Always in the game. Always
100%.
in the game. And he is just so fun to watch. And it's so fun to watch him make plays. I mean, I want to go back to a play he made against the Tennessee Titans where he was being tackled almost on the ground and he completed a first down.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
He always fights.
He's just so fun to watch. And going off what Drake said about our team, starting slow and, finishing strong. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And Pete Carroll is just that's just how he plays, and that's how his coaching scheme goes. And I'm just really excited for the Seahawks team moving forward.
Well, you mentioned the Rams, and I'm that word excited. I'm excited to watch the Seahawks and the Rams duke it out. Because I think whoever doesn't win the division will be in the wild card. Because both teams are so phenomenal, both well coached, both fantastically coached, both really good rosters. What I'm curious about, this is the NFL season is making a turning point right now. This is where the real guys come out to play, week 8. Right now, Deshaun Watson and the Texans are preparing for the Seahawks in Seattle. And I think the Texans have the second best roster. I believe this. The Chiefs have the best roster in the NFL. Texans are right there behind them. All they've been missing is a quarterback, and now they have the best rookie quarterback in the league and he looks unfazed. And you talked earlier about how this year rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks struggle when they come into Seattle because the noise, the Legion of Boom, the whole defense, it gets in their head and they really struggle. Except I think Deshaun Watson is just one of those rare unfazed guys where it doesn't matter the situation. We've seen him against Alabama, just unfazed. How is he going to play this weekend?
So I was going to go to my point. It's not even just, young quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks. It's veteran quarterbacks too that come into Seattle for the first time. They will struggle, and I don't see that stopping. I still see,
even with Deshaun Watson,
he's great. Don't get me wrong. I got him as a fantasy quarterback, and I've loved him so far this year. Not gonna lie, but I also have Seattle's defense, so I kind of had to make a decision. But I love Seattle, and I love them at home. They are a team that just plays completely different at home, and in that crowd, they haven't seen a game in like 3 weeks now. Because they had a road game and then a bye and then a road game again. So, I mean, the 12s are going to bring it. And I think Watson, even though they're coming off a bye, which I think will be huge for them, they might have a good jolt early. But, again, I think Seattle takes control. And it should be a good win this week. I do like Seattle winning this game this week against Deshaun Watson and the crew. So
Notre Dame has broken into the top 10. They are number 9 in the nation. And I've used this same argument all year. I talk about Boise State. And very impassionately about how I don't believe in Boise State. They lost Chris Peterson, and when they lost their head coach, I suddenly don't respect them nationally anymore because they're not a team you'd normally expect. Not a normally a team you would think and have a lot of confidence in. So until Boise State proves it and wins games nationally, I don't think they're back. I don't think they're what they were. I feel the same way about Notre Dame. What's Notre Dame's big win? It's USC. Well, USC was discredited when they lost to Texas. I think their struggle up front. Notre Dame has a really good offensive line, full of seniors, and USC's weakness is their front seven on defense. So I think it's a terrible matchup. I think Notre Dame is matched up to destroy USC up front, and that's why we saw this blowout this week. But here's who Notre Dame plays the rest of the year. They play number 14 NC State, number 8 Miami, number 20 Stanford, and then they play an overrated Michigan team. That's who they beat. Excuse me. They play 3 ranked teams, and if they can go through and beat all of them, then yeah, I'll respect them. But they need to earn it. And right now, I don't respect them as the number 9 team in the nation because they've beaten what? They lost to Georgia in a close game against a true freshman.
By one point?
It was 20-19.
An 18-year-old's first start in college football. I don't respect Notre Dame. Am I wrong about that?
Georgia is
I don't respect
absolutely
Notre Dame.
stacked.
No, they are. But
Georgia is
at
stacked.
the time,
they could unseat Alabama. I think that there's a good possibility. I mean, that's why it was.
Yeah.
They
Sure.
honestly probably should have beaten Georgia. I mean, I watched the ending of that. I mean, Georgia had a nice final drive to end the game. But I was going to go to Notre Dame. They haven't allowed over 20 points to any of their opponents all year.
Sure.
They haven't allowed over. I mean, their defense is absolutely stout. So I like their. I mean, and they've also beaten a really good Michigan State team on the road.
You think
in East
Michigan
Lansing.
State's good?
Yes, Michigan State is a good team. They went in the Big House and won. That is not an easy place to win.
Fair.
I don't care who you are. You go into the Big House and win against Jim Harbaugh. Yes, that's pretty impressive.
Now, here's what's impressive about Notre Dame is their schedule. Because if they do finish the season, they beat NC State, Miami, and Stanford, then I have nothing but I have to give them credit, because if they finish out that way, then I have to give them credit. They beat a ton of ranked teams and have earned their spot. But right now, currently, I feel like I haven't seen enough evidence to believe in them.
See, I disagree with you, Zach. I mean, just looking at their resume and what they've done, I mean, beating USC, I don't care what people say. I know USC hasn't looked great in all their ball games. USC is a good team. Yeah. Sam Darnold is a great quarterback, and USC is a good team. They may not have been able to figure it out as well this year, and they're not playing as well as they did last year, in my opinion. But I still think USC is a good team. So that's a great win for this Notre Dame team. I also think the win against Michigan State, awesome win. Huge win for them. Michigan State beat Michigan earlier this year. And, I mean, having those two wins and also losing to Georgia by 1 point, I think Notre Dame's for real, and I think they do deserve this number 9 spot, and I think they do. They have my respect, in my personal opinion. So,
well, here's the question. If Notre Dame, if they keep it going, do they belong in the college football playoff? Because are you going to tell me 2 of the Power 5 conference teams are not going to make it if Notre Dame does? I'd feel weird about that. I don't like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you follow my drift?
Oh, okay, yeah. So
if we're going to leave the Big 12
mean.
and the Pac-12 out and let an independent Notre Dame team in if they finish their schedule, would you say they've earned it with their ranked? Because they do play a lot of ranked teams. Would they have earned it if they finish out undefeated the rest of the year?
Personally, I don't think that they will, because like Drake always goes back to this. They're not going to play a conference championship. That's a huge thing for making the college football playoff. If you don't have a conference championship, it doesn't go on your resume. You know, if you have that conference win and you have that conference title, that helps your resume going into the college football playoff. And I think even if Notre Dame is to win out, even though their only loss in the season would be to a top 5 team Georgia, who then they lost by 1, I still don't think they make it in, just because I don't think their resume will be as good as another team who has a conference championship under their belt.
I agree with that 100%.
It's a great point, Mark. Totally agree with that. Totally agree.
That's what you always say.
Honestly, that was gonna be my point.
Well, that's my fault.
Well done. As an independent, that's what sucks for Notre Dame. But that's why they have to load up their schedule. And I saw this thing on Twitter. It was according to some analytical guy that reported on this. They don't control their own destiny, going forward for the college football playoffs. So they got to hope for some losses by teams ahead of them. And even a 1-loss Notre Dame team, it's going to be tough to get in because, again, like Mark was talking about, you don't have that conference championship on your resume. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Can I just apologize real quick? That was Drake. I've heard Drake talk about that so much, but I've grown to really agree with him, and I just think it'll be really tough.
Well, here's what's interesting about Notre Dame is now I wasn't planning on having this conversation, but should they join a conference? Because look, what more can you ask from them? They're playing 6 teams that have been in the top 25 this year. If they beat all 6 teams, even if they lose to Georgia, they beat 5 of the 6 ranked teams they play this year, and they don't make it in, what else can they do? Win all 6? I mean, their schedule is, I will give them credit, their schedule is chock full of good football teams.
And can I just go off this? This is why people are going to disagree with me when I say this, but this is one big reason why I don't agree with the 4-team college football playoff. I don't agree with it. I personally, as a fan, I want an 8-team college football playoff. I think that you can find 8 good enough teams at the end of the season to have a college football play. I do. And I think from a fan perspective, it would be more fun to do it that way. And I don't know if you guys have heard Michael Leach talk about it, but if you think about it, do you see how other divisions in college football play? They do a playoff as well.
I disagree with Mike Leach,
Division I college football is the only division to not do it that way.
I'm insane. I know I'm on an island all by myself. I love the Mike Leach clip. It was hilarious and very truthful. But I think the 4-team college football playoff is such an improvement over the 2. Because look, if Boise State's ranked 8th and they've lost 3 games or whatever, and they're 8th in the nation, right? Do they really deserve a chance to compete for the national championship? No, they don't, because they have a weak schedule, and I really think 4 teams is plenty. Because look, If you're not in the top 4, why should you get a chance? Because you didn't earn it. Like, does that make sense to you?
It doesn't, because why the top you don't just take the top 4 teams in the NFL. You don't take the top 4 teams in high school
But this
and
is
you don't play
college.
them.
It's different.
But it's not. It's the same. If
You're
you think
gonna
about it.
So, okay, how many games? If a 16-team college football playoff, that's 3 more games added to the season. We're already talking about how bowl games add too many games to the season.
But what if me as a fan, if Notre Dame wins their last, I think, what do they have, 6 or? But anyways, as a fan, I want to see them go. I want to see Notre Dame go up against these big teams. And I'm done. I'm gonna
bring it on, Drake.
All right, Zach. So we've talked about you and me. We've talked about. I mean, you said you love the NCAA tournament, right?
I didn't know, and I will say
no,
this.
you said
it
you
would
don't
be
focus.
great viewing. It'd be fantastic.
You said
viewing.
you don't love the NCAA tournament, college basketball.
Yeah.
You said you don't even focus on really the regular season.
I don't.
Once the NCAA tournament comes around, bam, focus on the whole tournament thing. And you're not the only one. You are like a lot of fans where a tournament is just a gravitating moneymaker. And if we had 16 teams, it would be awesome for all college football teams to be able to compete for that national title game.
Drake.
Because
Yes,
even
Drake.
in the NCAA tournament, every team has a chance to win the
Keep
national
going,
title
buddy.
game.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm ready.
Think about the money that you would gain from
Gotta
that.
come back
okay?
to this.
And a 16-team playoff, it would take a month, okay? Instead of those big, long breaks in between the college football playoff, the semifinal game, they give them like 2 weeks. It's like, come on, guys. You need a week to play football, and these guys are already energized enough. If you got in a playoff scenario like that, you got to have 16 teams. And eventually, I think they will get there. They will get to 16 teams because they'll realize the money that they'll get, because fans love the playoff type feel. One and done. Yeah, bowl games it's a one and done, but where are you going if you win? Cool. You get a sick trophy. Dude, I'd rather say that I made to the quarterfinals or the semifinals of the college football playoff. How much cooler does that sound? To even just get into the college football playoff, it will give more teams an opportunity now. And so those, quote unquote mid-majors, they'll get an opportunity then to get in and show why they can compete at a high level.
Well, I mean, I just want to say one more
Go
thing before you go, because I feel like I'm holding the dog back right now, and Zach's just going to be released in a second here. But anyways, I mean, going on, Drake, I love your point, and I 100% agree with you. I mean, if you look, there was 2 teams I was really sad that didn't make the college football playoff last year, Penn State and USC. I was so disappointed. I really wanted to see them play.
2 of the hotter teams in the nation.
I know, and they don't get in.
They don't get in.
And it disappoints me. And Drake, I 100% agree with you, and I think it'll be the best thing for college football if they do go to a 16 team or even an 8 team.
Mark, well done.
So
this weekend is, I'm not shifting gears. I'm staying on this topic, but I'm referencing. This weekend is Ohio State and Penn State. Why is this game such a big deal? Do you know why? It's because it matters. It matters so very much, and it's going to get so many viewership because it basically determines who goes to the college football playoff from the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Yes.
Now, if we had a 16-game college football playoff, this game would not be nearly as important because both teams would then have a chance to make it into the college football playoff. Does that make sense? The reason college football is so fun to me is because every game is so very important. If you lose a game, your season's over. So it's like the whole season is a playoff. Why do we need 3 more games to do that? You delegitimize the entire regular season if you have a 16-game college football playoff. The reason I don't watch the NBA and Major League Baseball is because the regular season doesn't matter. And you would delegitimize and take away from the regular season of college football if you had a 16-team college football playoff. Bring it on, Mark.
Okay,
You got it.
I so disagree with this point.
Really?
I love that the regular season does matter, but a team at the beginning of a season, you can argue, is worse than when I think a team plays their best football towards the end of a season.
I agree.
Or a baseball team
But
plays
that's
their
a
best
national
baseball
title.
at the end of a season. A basketball team plays their best basketball at the end of the season. And when the stakes are higher in a playoff atmosphere, the games are just better, more exciting. Yeah, the regular season might not matter as much, but the playoff would. And I believe a playoff would get more viewership than a regular season game like tomorrow. Because to be honest with you, if I don't watch the game tomorrow, I'm not going to be like beating myself up over it. I mean, I'm going to be sad if I miss it.
Yeah.
But if I missed a playoff game, I would be very sad about not watching that game because that's more high stakes and it's more exciting.
Well, you give more. I will give you this point. You put way more focus on each game when you have a playoff. You're right. It's more concentrated because the Ohio State Penn State this weekend. How many other games are going on during that game? If you had a college football playoff, I'll concede this. You would have way more eyeballs because it's more concentrated. Does that make sense? Drake, you have anything to say?
Well, I was going to talk about, you said that, I'm not interested in the NBA and the MLB, regular season.
I don't care.
No, I understand because, there's a bunch of games going on every night, but college football, it's going on every other Saturday, okay? So people are still going to gravitate. I mean, what do people think when they get to the weekend? Yeah, I get to watch some football. It's going to happen every week anyway. People are still going to gravitate. Tailgaters are going to still be out there. Sioux Crew's still going to be lit every Saturday here in Martin. It's the same thing.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
But again, it's just about getting into the playoff, and if you can just get, it's like the NCAA tournament. Again, same thing. If you can just find a way to get in, okay, your chances are awesome to possibly win the national title. And it'll actually improve the regular season, I think, too, because then teams, you got to build your resume. Just like an NCAA tournament. You got to build your resume to, let the committee know that, hey, we're here for real. And if you got some nice wins on your resume, yeah, you're going to get into the 16-team college football playoff and a chance to win the national title.
I think we should move on, but I want to say,
can we just say one more thing?
Yeah.
And another thing to go off that point, as a fan, I've always loved the NFL way more than college football, and it's just because, like you said with the regular season,
it matters.
And it does matter. But I'm more of a guy who likes to watch playoffs. It's just more fun for me.
Sure.
It's more fun for me to watch as a fan. Especially if I'm watching teams where they're not my team. You know what I mean? If Penn State's not my team, I like to watch them. They're not my team though. So if I miss a regular season game from Penn State, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they're in the playoff, I want to watch them. And another thing I want to go off of is that the NFL, when college football is done with, the NFL gets to start playing games on Saturdays. The NFL can't play games on Saturdays during college football because they don't want to take away from college football. But after college football's done, the NFL starts playing games on Saturdays. Games on Saturdays in the NFL aren't nearly as exciting for me, and I tend to miss more of those games on Saturday. In my opinion,
we got stuff going on.
I think that it'd be so much better if instead that the NFL only play games on Sundays and the college football playoff extend and keep playing games on those Saturdays rather than doing that weekend NFL thing. I don't know. That's just something that I kind of see that would also... if the playoff happened.
I will say, man, the 16-team playoff would be so much better for fans. And that you guys have swung me. I admit defeat. I really... No, I hate to say it, but it's true. I can admit when I'm wrong, and I can admit when I lost. And as much as I still think I have this old school mentality. I like the 4 teams. I think it's better than it was. I agree. It'd be better for fans, and you guys got me. And what I think is so cool about this very moment right now, none of this was prepared. None of this was prepared. This is what I love about you two so much, and it's fantastic.
Just came up with this right on the spot.
Can we shift gears? Our last topic of the day, Ohio State, Penn State.
Yes.
So again, I stated this earlier. It's going to be pretty short because we already covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
This is the most important game this weekend, and it will determine who goes through the college football playoff from the Big Ten.
Yep.
Drake, do you have anything? I'm sure you're prepared. You have something to say about this.
An elimination game. In this game, Ohio State, they're at home. They're at the Horseshoe. They're looking for revenge, too. Last year, they lost to Penn State on the road in Happy Valley. JT Barrett, the offense, they've been playing great. Penn State's defense is very stout. And one thing Ohio State cannot do in this game, they cannot fall behind early, okay? Penn State this season, guys, is outscoring their opponents 90-0 in the first quarter. Okay, so do not fall behind if you're Ohio State. If they can do that, and I love their D-line, okay? They've got 8 guys, and they rotate a bunch, okay? They are going to be fresh, and I like their chances of shutting down Barkley at the Horseshoe.
I have a prediction. So earlier this year, I right before the week 1 of college football, I said Ohio State will run the table and win the college football playoff. They will win the national championship. I predicted Ohio State would. And when they lost to Oklahoma, everyone bailed. Everyone said, Ohio State is over. Their season is over. They lost to Oklahoma. It's done. And I said, look at what happened last year. Clemson made it to the national championship and won with 1 loss. I think it's very much possible Ohio State can go back, and I believe that they're still. I still think Ohio State will win the national championship. I'm riding that to my grave. I believe they will beat Penn State, ultimately win the Big Ten, and go on and beat Alabama because they are so good. They lost a fluky game. Fine, but we see that happen all the time. We saw who lost the other week. WSU came out and played horrendous against Cal. Just had an uncharacteristically bad game. It does happen. Ohio State is totally fine, and they will beat Alabama and win the national championship. That's what I think will happen.
Mark, real quick before you go. Last 3 national title teams, by the way, have lost to an unranked team at home. Just putting that out.
And they lost to a ranked team.
Now, Ohio State did lose to a ranked team, but just throwing that out there.
It helps my point even more.
It does. That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes
the national title teams, they'll slip up. It'll happen. So just wanted to throw that out there for the fans.
Yeah,
Mark?
100%.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot on this topic, but I do believe that.
Who are you rooting for?
I want Ohio State, man.
Yeah!
I want Ohio State.
Damn
I want
right.
Ohio
Buckeye
State.
Nation.
I have nothing against Penn
My dad will be
State,
so
but I,
disappointed.
I like Ohio State. I have always liked JT Barrett. I think he's been just an absolute solid quarterback for Ohio State since he's been there, and he's had a great resume, just a bunch of wins, and I'm excited to watch him go into battle against Penn State.
You guys, this was so fantastic. Such a good episode.
This
and
is great.
We had
This
that
is great.
whole conversation I didn't expect. That's why I love you guys so much. You guys are both up and coming young, good broadcasters, and you don't even know it, Mark. I love you guys so much. Please subscribe on iTunes and on YouTube. The show's on SoundCloud as well. Tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Tell your friends. Tell your friends listening. We want to grow. We're building the show. Our subscriber base is growing. It's fun. And I think we put out a fantastic product. I really do.
I'm so excited to share this on Facebook, man. I am so excited.
That
So-
debate, that college football playoff debate is legendary.
that
man.
was
That
fun.
was fantastic.
This was a great
can
show
you,
today,
Can you
guys.
split that up and
I
put
will
that into
definitely
a?
put that
Okay,
up. Yeah,
awesome, sweet,
100%.
good deal.
Be great.
100%.
A great show, guys. Great show,
Man,
guys.
I love you guys.
A lot of fun today.
My name is Zach Schaumler.
Mark Campanero,
Your boy Drake Bowers.
Thank you so much for listening to Strong Opinion Sports, and have a great day, everybody.
go Cougs.